Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, free site, dwyervip.com, free site. It is March the 20th, 2019. Let's talk NCAA tournament. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, what I like to do is I like to just throw some money at the beginning of the tournament on some teams that I think have a chance. Not every team does. So, with all due respect to the Western Regional, I'm not picking any teams there. That's the regional where Gonzaga is the top seed, Michigan is the number 2 seed, right? I don't believe that a team out of that regional is going to be cutting down the nets at the end of the tournament. Let me also point out that you have to eliminate some teams, including some very highly seeded teams. Take a hard look at Michigan. You're going to find out that Tom Izzo and the Spartans of Michigan State completely owned them during the regular season. Completely owned them. Right now, the problem is Michigan State is actually the 2 seed in the East. So, if Michigan State were to win the Eastern Regional, let's say they slip by Duke, right? Then if Michigan is lucky and slips by Gonzaga, they would have to face their nemesis in the Final Four, right before the final game. So I don't like Michigan's chances, even though I privately consider them to be one of the better teams in the tournament. Needless to say, in part because Michigan State has beaten the Wolverines 3 times this year already, I believe you need some money on the Spartans. Let's face it too. Tom Izzo in the NCAA tournament, great record. He's pretty good. He has an underrated squad this year. Obviously, in that East Regional, I'm also going to put some money on Duke, right? Although you're getting very short odds on Duke. But let's be serious here, right? Duke has not just Zion Williamson, but Duke also has R.J. Barrett. But the talent's young. Understand, both of those guys are freshmen. Cam Reddish is a freshman. Trey Jones is a freshman. Right? That gives me pause. As talented as Duke is, let's also realize that when Zion Williamson was out, they lost to North Carolina twice. Right? So to me, Duke is not a sure thing. Let's also remember when Zion comes back, they beat North Carolina by something like 1 or 2 points. Was not a convincing win. So, in the Eastern Regional, I am going to put money on the 1 seed Duke and on the 2 seed Michigan State. In the South, let's make this an ACC affair. I'm only going to put money on one team there, and that's Virginia, right? Let's face it, Virginia has done some big things, right? For one, they won the ACC, right? For 2, on February the 2nd, they took out North Carolina, and they did so by 8 points. I like the fact that the ACC, which I'm extremely bullish on, has been rough and tumble, and that Virginia has held its own. Let me also say, too, that if you go to Ken Pomeroy's site, you're going to see Virginia very highly rated, right? Their offense is better than it's been in some recent years. That's the only team I like in the South. I understand Tennessee has been doing a number on Kentucky, right? But that might be one of those fluke matchup type things. I don't like the Volunteers as the 2 seed here. So the only team in the South I'm interested in is the 1 seed, Virginia. Let's go to the Midwest. Now, I know a lot of people love Houston, right? I'm aware of that. I read all these websites and I see Houston mentioned more times than I care to remember, right? How can you even consider Houston in a regional that has North Carolina and Kentucky? In fact, Houston would have to face Kentucky, right, in the Sweet 16 just to get to the Elite 8. Let's look hard at Kentucky for a moment. Kentucky's had a problem with Tennessee. I'm not here to say otherwise. But my goodness, in terms of high school superstars, right, guys highly ranked coming out of high school, right, Kentucky matches up with almost anyone except for Duke. Right, this Kentucky roster is rough. Right, so in the Midwest, I do like North Carolina. Let's face it, this is Roy Williams' time of year. Let's face it too. North Carolina, if you believe in Duke, can we agree North Carolina has held its own against Duke? Right? Even the conference final, North Carolina was in that game. Right? So to me, I like North Carolina in that Midwest. I also am going to put a little bit on Kentucky. Right? You're getting them at a bargain, folks. They're not even a 1 seed. Right? They're the 2 seed. You're getting them because of Tennessee, right? Let's be blunt here. Let's also face it. Kentucky played North Carolina early in the year. I'll concede in December, but they beat North Carolina on a neutral court by 8. By 8. So if they get to the Elite 8 and they have to go up against the Tar Heels, they might have the mental edge, right? They'll know they can beat North Carolina because they have already, right? So Calipari, fortunately for Kentucky, Tennessee's in a different bracket, right? So the Kentucky guys don't have to worry about Tennessee. And of course, Tennessee would have to deal with Virginia in that bracket. So in the Midwest, I like 2 teams, and they're the top 2 seeds. So to summarize, the teams that are catching my eye, right? In the West, no one. Right? Let me point out what that means. Some team is going to get in the Final Four from the Western Regional. Right? Some team is going to be in the Final Four, and I will not have any money on them. Why? Because I'm going to have money on Duke and Michigan State. One of those 2 teams, in my opinion, is going to win the East. Is going to get in the finals, right? Is going to beat whoever comes out of the West. In the South, Volunteer fans are going to have to forgive me, but the only team I'm interested in is Virginia, because of their dominance in the ACC, because of the fact that they've had to deal with teams like North Carolina and Duke. Right? I don't know how you can believe in North Carolina and Duke and not also consider Virginia. Then, of course, in the Midwest, I'm sorry, I'm going to overlook Houston. I like North Carolina and Kentucky. Right? I'll agree. Kentucky not quite playing great ball right now. Didn't win the SEC. Right? Did not win the SEC with all his talent. Right? Still too dangerous to overlook. Right? I'm not sure who wins it all. I think it's too close to call, but I suspect that the finals might be an all ACC affair. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I know I've dissed parts of the country, the entire West Coast, some major conferences and stuff like that. I know there are a lot of Cougar fans out there, Houston Cougars, right? I understand a lot of upsets happened in the year. I know a lot of people believe in Tennessee. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you leave them in the comment section of this video. And good luck cashing tickets.